And let's go. Hello guys and welcome to the Ethan Beattie Podcast. Today I'm joined by a very special guest and long-time friend of mine.
Sinead Chanel.
Me and Sinead, we went to college together, performing arts college. I did acting, she did media in her first 2 years, and then she moved over to art. What have you been up to in the last year then, since COVID and all that mess?
In this past year I've been just studying online and obviously being at work on and off, like due to the pubs closing down and restaurants and stuff. So in terms of like my actual work life, as to say, it's been a bit inconsistent, but I will always do my best to study from home.
Yeah.
In the first year of COVID, from 2020 to 2021, I transitioned to a new campus to do my foundation degree.
Mm-hmm.
So
what's your foundation in?
Art and design and media.
Art and design and media. Nice.
Yeah. So.
Do you have? Are you promoting your work on social media at the moment?
Yeah.
All right. What's your tag for that? I'll actually add it in at the end of the video.
So my YouTube channel is Talks with Me. So obviously on my channel I do like commentary style videos and normal videos as well as personal videos or reactions. And then for my art, how I promote my art is I have an art page, which is just artpage.uk on Instagram. A very original name, I must say. Yeah. And I just post. I try to be consistent when posting on my channel and posting on my art page too.
That's really good. That's good. Yeah, so get at her Instagram, get at her YouTube. It will be put in the comment section below for you guys in the description. Now, there is one thing I'd quite like to talk to you about because, like I said at the start of the podcast, we've both come from a performing arts college, doing different courses. But in the events of last year, with things going on between the culture wars, and as well as COVID having a part to play in that as well, the American election, and what we're kind of seeing with extreme left ideologies kind of coming in and arguments about trans and LGBT in general, as well as race. How do you feel about that?
I just feel like we've come to a point in time now where like people have become very overly sensitive to facts, and we live in a time where people are in denial of those facts. Like when it comes to like the trans movement, I do feel like there's an agenda with that. When it comes to female empowerment as well, like having women who are poor role models, especially in terms of the Black community, as women who are empowering, like I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
The Black Lives Matter movement, I just feel like it victimizes Black people too. So there's a lot of things from the left that I don't agree with, and that's why I've moved towards the right.
Okay. So when you said about the trans movement and the kind of feminist movement as well, I mean we're talking about because we've also seen sexual assault go massively high in terms of topic of conversation, with regards to was it Sarah Everard, I think her name was.
Oh my gosh.
It's really bad because it's a police officer. It's exactly what everyone was complaining about with BLM, about police officers and abusing their power, to then abuse and kill this woman on her way home. Do you feel like sometimes the trans argument does kind of not benefit women, if you know what I mean? If you can kind of get what I'm understanding from that. like, because the way I've kind of viewed this kind of trans and feminism movement is they're both on the hard left. The hard left are talking about them, and you know, they talk about both, and they try and say that both can go hand in hand. But then when you're saying that when anyone can self-identify and is then trans, who can then use a women's bathroom, but you know, that's opening the door for, you know, a potential criminal, an abuser to come in and abuse their power. You know, because they can just lie about self-identifying, but because, you know, you don't have to prove that to anyone, you can just waltz right in, and if you are someone who is an abuser who has lied about this, then you have just been given an opportunity on a dinner plate.
That's true, and I think as well there's a problem when it comes to self-identifying, because it's still men infringing on women's rights. Like if you're a man that has like, you know, transitioned into a woman, and I do believe there are circumstances where people do feel as though they're born in the wrong body, but I do feel like it's a mental thing. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like
if
it's a mental thing, and I
when
just
people come forward and they've got gender dysphoria, of
yeah
course they can use the opposite gender's bathroom. That is
yeah
not an argument. The argument
yeah
for me is preventing dangerous men from going in women's bathrooms, and
mm,
a a way that, you know, we can kind of prevent that is by not going with the self-identification thing, because it leads up to this whole massive loophole, which, you know, which bad people, not, you know, trans people, not normal
yeah.
ordinary people, but bad people can
And
exploit.
do you know the problem? When you use this argument that you're using now, a lot of people like to scream, "Oh, that's transphobic. That's
Oh,
this. That's that." Well, no, it's not. It's warning. It's saying that evil exists. It's the same with the whole rape argument. Like, oh, teach men not to rape. Teach men not to do this. Teach men not to do that. Of course, you can implement boundaries into people from a young age, which I'm all supportive of. Like, of course, I will advocate for that all day long to the day I die. Like, instill boundaries in people, allow people and let people know what is right and what is wrong and how you want people to be towards you, but still warn people and educate people and tell them evil exists. Like a rapist will rape someone if they want to. Do you know what I mean?
and
Like you can't. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing with my thoughts on that as well is, you know, we're talking about crime in that as well,
Mhm.
and the another thing with another thing with a large majority of criminals is a lot of
Yeah.
them come from broken households, broken
Of
family
course.
structures, abusive parents, not good role models for parents.
Mm.
But, you know, no one's saying that actually, oh, if this person had a good family around him, he wouldn't have been like that. No, 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 no. You've not got people saying that. You've not got many people saying that. Actually, it's if you nurture someone the right way, then it's down to them if they do bad, right?
Yeah.
That is their own decision, and if they still do bad and they had a perfect life, that then is just solely down to them being a scumbag.
Exactly.
Where,
Yeah.
whereas, you know, if this person does come from a broken household and and he or she has witnessed things of abuse,
Yeah.
violence, stuff like that, they are going to take that and be influenced by that.
Hundred
And
percent.
and and the way that the left kind of go and say that we don't need the family structure that we're so used to, it's just
Oh,
like, no, we
the
do.
importance. The
We
importance of
need
a
two parents in a household. They
yeah.
don't necessarily need to be male and female, but two parents in a household is so much better than a single parent.
Let me tell you this, yeah, the importance of a normal family foundation is crucial. And this is not to say that even with a mother and a father and having like a good family unit, it's not to say that crime with the child won't happen.
No,
Do you know what I mean? Because
it
do you know what I mean? But
yeah, it's
if
dependent on other factors as
yeah,
well.
there is man and woman for a reason. That's how I see it. And there's a normal family foundation for a reason. But if you say that nowadays, it's almost taboo to say facts.
Yeah,
It's almost
I
taboo to say that it's normal to have a family unit and have normal family values and have tradition. It's almost tradition. It's like traditionism. it's the new abomination. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's the new wrong.
Because
Like, no.
because that has ties back to every aspect of our history, which is so racist and unbelievable.
But people, do you know what the problem is as well? With I find with the left, they always take very small incidences, like when they use the whole abortion argument, like they say,
Mm.
oh, what if the woman was raped? If you look at statistics of rape and pregnancy, it's a very small statistic against abortions that happen by choice. So, do you know what I mean? They always take very small anomalies and then try and make it into this great big thing.
How do
Like,
you
no,
stand on abortion, as a question?
I believe it is this, and I've heard this saying so many times. If a cell on Mars is classed as life, why isn't a clump of cells in your womb classed as life? Why is
Okay.
it not?
Okay, no, I completely understand that, and I completely respect that.
Because
Actually, I can agree with you. However, my thing would be, as well, it would be, it depends on the woman's choice as well, and the
yeah,
well, both parents are entitled to that child, right?
yeah.
You know, both of them should make a
Do you?
decision,
Oh,
and and
I have a,
and and
I have a,
and if their circumstances aren't good enough to provide that child with a good enough life, then yes, I will agree with their decision to abort that child. And if they didn't abort that child, then still fair play to them, because they will work hard to raise it, hopefully.
but do you know what? Do you know what? I have a question for you
But at the
actually.
same time, I don't
So,
think you should kill life.
yeah, true, that's true.
So it's
I have a,
sketchy.
I have a question for you on your stance of
Hmm.
male and their opinions on abortion, because a lot of people say that men don't have a right to say upon a woman's body and all this kind of stuff. So, as a man to be, like, how do you feel about that whole stance?
I feel like conversations about abortion, the only situation in which the man doesn't have a say is if, you know, he's done a runner. You know,
Yeah.
he's ran away from the woman. He's not going to support the child.
Mm,
Or if it is like, you know, we always, like you hear with that small statistic, the rape
yeah.
victims. You know, but besides that, if you're in a loving relationship, then that conversation is between the two
Mm,
people. It's the people in the
mm,
relationship. It's not an individual choice on that relationship. It is a joint decision.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
But if a baby has to be aborted for like a health and safety reason for the woman, then I would also
Yeah.
support that as well.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah, it's such a and the thing is, sometimes if we pose these arguments, we will just get bombasted by you know, leftists being like, "Oh my god, what the hell?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just like, no, there is a middle ground that we can reach and agree on.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like you said earlier with the left as well, you mentioned the victimization of ethnic minorities, and I'd just like
Oh,
you
yeah.
to elaborate on that.
When I look at it for me, I think of it like this. Nothing in life is going to hold me back from achieving what I want to achieve aside from my work ethic. It's not going to be the color of my skin. It's not going to be like from what class I'm from, or where I studied. It's going to be solely based off my work ethic. I believe, strong-heartedly believe that in this life, in order to get what you want, you have to work hard. And
Hmm.
even if you look at people who are from wealthy backgrounds, their parents worked their ass off. A lot of wealthy people, a lot of rich people, they didn't come from like money. They actually worked hard. So when I hear like people in my community say, oh, it's whiteness, oh, it's white privilege, it's this, it's that, like, not necessarily. They say that, oh, that black people don't have the same opportunities to go to do this and to do this and to study this. When if you look at statistics properly, especially when it comes to the black community, black Caribbean people are the least likely in the black community to go to university. Black Africans do very well
Black
in terms of
African, yeah,
graduate. Yeah,
and
they because from a young age, can I
and
just say it's all about culture as well, because in the black community, especially when it comes to African culture, they are basically trained from young. You have to do well.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They have good family units, good family foundation, mother and father there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm being honest with you. When it comes to like Caribbean people, a lot of them are fatherless, and that's a big problem.
But there's
Big
also that
problem.
issue in the white working class community as well. That
Exactly.
we,
People just think it's race.
the lowest achieving backgrounds are white working class and Afro Caribbean backgrounds, and
Exactly.
and the factors there are very similar. It's the thing of that family structure, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
But it's also the case of actually the government, and there have been things put in place that haven't supported these people. You
Mm.
know, austerity from the Conservative Party has been a massive issue in working class areas. It has
Yeah.
taken youth clubs off the street. It has. It's taken so much from working class areas that were helping working class children thrive,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
regardless of background, you know, I mean, and this is the thing I really don't like about the left as well, like you, is they do victimize all ethnic minorities, but then when if I was to give if I was to quote them personal lived experiences
Mm.
of racism, I would just get put aside because, you know, my experiences don't count because I'm white and I'm from a place of privilege, even though I was one of 7 white children in my year at primary
Mm.
school, and I used to get loads of racial hatred. And,
Mm.
you know, it's all about the colour and a lot of it was about the colour of my skin. You know, but, you know, I'm not sat here going, oh, this massive group of people are racist because that's the experience I had. But my experience with
Yeah.
racism was from Pakistani Muslims, but I don't hate all Pakistani Muslims. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like, so why is it that we're now training people to hate all white people for things that it's not even all white people doing?
as as we're on the subject of lived experiences, I will say mine happily. Me as a person who was black, I've been to predominantly black school, I've been to predominantly white school, I've been to predominantly white school where, you know, people are from better backgrounds, which is totally fine. Like, I don't mind that. However, I will say that when it comes to bullying and being picked on, I was bullied and picked on in the school that was my own black people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I went to predominantly white school and I was never bullied once.
I mean, I went to. I mean, when I went to Boa, I'll just say it. The bullying was worse. When there was bullying, but when I say it's
Yeah.
worse, I also mean it's worse, but in a very different way. It's not
Yeah.
physical
Okay.
bullying. It's not you know, getting beaten up. It's getting
Yeah.
it's just it's just it's so weird. It's kind of like cattiness and passive aggressiveness.
Yeah, which is a little bit worse because it's so subtle.
Yeah, it's so subtle. It's so catty and bitchy, and it's meant to destroy your reputation rather than actually just make you feel bad about yourself for a couple of hours, and then, you know, you get on with your day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, I'd rather get beaten up than get my reputation slandered. That's saying something. You know, I would personally go back to the days of primary school where, you know, it was getting beaten up rather than go to college again and just
Yeah.
get, you know, your name spoken about you in different ways by people who you don't even necessarily know all the time. And you can't always pin
100%.
down who that person is because it's a different person spreading a different rumor. It's yeah, and the bullying that I got at like when I in Erdington, it was more along the lines of physical violence, you know. And yeah, it was
Yeah.
the odd name call, but you know, it wasn't, you know, I'm gonna destroy your reputation. I'm just gonna,
Mm.
you know, call you a name and hit you, you know. And there's a difference
Yeah.
as well.
But
And
do you know what's weird? in my first secondary school, I used to state my opinion on the black community, and I used to call out all the, all the hypocrisy and all that kind of stuff. And then, people would label me as certain things. They would call me like Uncle Tom and all this kind of stuff. Like they
Yeah.
thought that I was self-hating and all this kind. So in a way, I kind of had that reputation thing happen to me, even in a rougher school. Like it has happened, but you have to deal with it. Do you know what I mean? In order, if you are towards the right, if you're conservative, or whatever party you are, expect it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Expect it. If you're heavily political, if you're a person that, or even if you're a person that is an advocate for something,
Yeah.
you're always gonna get stick. Do you know what I mean? You're always gonna get extreme words thrown at you. It's just it's just how it is.
What I notice, what I noticed, because one of my dad's older best friends, called Alvin, used to get a lot of racial abuse thrown at him. He would get called things like bounty, and other things that were basically you're black on the outside, but inside you're white.
Yeah, I've had that so many times.
And the thing is, like my dad said, when he witnessed a lot of the shit that Alvin was getting, it was never from other white people. When my dad witnessed it, it was from other black people. It was because, Alvin's got a lot of white friends, and he goes to the pub and he goes clubbing. It's just like, and I mean, the guy would also wear suits in the office as well, where my dad didn't even have a dress code. But, he was just looking the part. He was being respectable. And, just living his life. But he's got these other people, who are slandering him for his life choices. And it's just like, why are you making this such an issue? It's not an issue. People can be friends with who they want to be friends with. It's by the content of the character, not by what they look like.
Oh my gosh. What a traditional line.
Yeah, to paraphrase Martin Luther King there.
Yeah.
But, and we're losing kind of sense of that. We're losing the sense of, let's judge people by the content of their character. We're losing that. It's now becoming, let's judge people by their politics. And if they have the wrong opinion, they are your enemy. And it's the same on the right side, it's the same on the left. On the hard left and on the hard right, it is virtually the same thing with different, slightly twisted ideologies, right?
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned this on another one of my podcasts, but it's a Aleister Crowley quote, the one being that cackling communism, ferocious fascism, democracy dodders, ferocious fascism, cackling communism, equally fraught. They all cavort crazily over the globe. They're hemming us in. They suppress the individual in more and more ways, and stuff like that. And the thing is, when you compare, when you compare like the ideologies that are going through, they are both divide and conquer, right? On the fascist EDL side, it's we want all these fucking immigrants out, blah blah blah, right? That and that's a bit like, no, we don't want to become an ethno state, right? we don't want to just be a state full of white people. There needs to be multi-ethnicity. We need to be a multi-ethnic society, but we should all come under one culture of being British, and we should embrace British culture monolly as a equal and as a one society, rather than just being everyone identifies as different things, but no one can come under being British because that is apparently racist. And
no, it's not.
Yeah, and
if you live in a country, you have to respect the values. You have to learn the values. You need to understand
and
the
this
values. You can't just move to a country and think, oh, because I have my tradition and values. Like, you can't expect British people to respect you if you're not going to respect them. You have to do that in order to coexist as people.
Have you seen France's hijab ban?
Yes, I have, and I think it's out of order.
I have mixed feelings about that. I do believe it is wrong that they are discriminating against Muslims for wearing the hijab and wearing an item for their religion, right?
Yeah.
And nuns don't have to do that, and you know, a lot of other religions don't have to do that either. And I do agree that is wrong. However, in the same way that you've just said about when you go to a country, you should respect that country's culture.
Yeah.
What we've seen in the West has been very open. We've let people wear hijabs. We've let people wear all their items of religious clothing and things like that. That is not a problem. I'm not saying it is. However, when you go to the East as a westernized white person, you know, you have to wear some of these clothing, and you have to cover up because it's law in that country. So,
Of course.
so it's just like there's such this divide in, you know, opinion and culture, and people are just going, oh well, they're all right to do that because they're different to us, and we shouldn't hold them to the same accord almost.
You know,
and that's what I don't like about the left, but that's on the left.
You know,
But at the same time, I do respect other people for living in their country.
I think the reason why the left use that argument is because France has just enforced that law now.
Yes.
Like, it's not like it's always been there, because the difference between there and the East is that the East have always had that there. It's part of it's their way of life. But
Yeah.
just enforce it out of nowhere. I can understand why they think that way.
But the thing is, but no one in the West ever challenged it either. Everyone's just kind of let it happen because no one gave a shit. You know, is the honest answer behind that. No one cared. You know, so people just got on with it and didn't take notice. But you've also then got to look at France's relationship in the last 5 years with Islam.
Yeah.
You know, France's relationship with Islam has not been a positive one. You know, the last 5 years have been incredibly volatile. I mean, you've seen the Paris attacks that went across the city. You also had the publisher who was killed in his office for releasing a cartoon about the Prophet Muhammad, and it was only one cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad, and all the rest were of the Pope, you know, or Jesus and Christian stuff. So, you know, and people need to understand that satire is just it's comedy. If you're offended by it, then okay, but you shouldn't go out and kill someone because of it.
100%.
And then, you know, they also had a teacher get beheaded in the street for the same reason. You know?
Yeah, but you have to remember though, they're extremists. You know,
Yes.
they're on the extreme.
And they are on
And
the
I think
extreme. But the thing is, France are also going to retaliate against the extremists. And
That's true.
and this is the thing. Everyone forgets that there is retaliation within other people's actions. And that's what the
people need
left
to
kind of
remember-
forget as well.
I think people need to remember though that acts of terrorism isn't associated with religion.
No.
Like,
No.
it's not, and a
Anti-terrorism...
lot of people do that.
No, anti-terrorism shouldn't be treated alongside religion, but but when you live in a country and, you know, you've had terrorist attacks from this specific group, you know,
Yeah.
its people and its government are gonna go, right, we need to monitor this, right? And the UK do it with knife crime as well. The UK do it a lot with knife crime as well as also terrorism. You know, we look at the demographics who are mainly committing these. I mean, in the 80s, a lot of racism was towards Irish people because there were the pub bombings going on, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's kind of switched from Irish to Islam. But, you know, it's just how times change. It's just how things happen. And is it right? No. But at the same time, you shouldn't have this... If you don't want radical solutions, there shouldn't be a radical solution in the first place. As soon as you get one, there's a shitload others. You know,
Yeah, 100%.
with the rise of
So like,
fascism, you get a rise of communism, and it
yeah, we're
happens
not
like
gonna
that all over the world.
at all. Yeah.
I mean, how?
So like,
Oh, sorry.
so so I was gonna say, so moving on from this particular subject, what is your thoughts on body positivity? Because that's become quite political nowadays as well. What's your thoughts on the whole body positivity fat acceptance movement? Like, what's your stance on that
I think people
personally?
should just strive to be healthy. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone. I don't think being skinny is the ideal weight for every single person. Because every single person has different needs and different bodies that require different things. So naturally, even in terms of body shape, we're all going to be different at our healthy diets. People will be bigger than others, people will be smaller than others, people will be wider, thinner, taller, shorter, whatever.
yeah, those are natural things. But when people try and say like a 400-pound body is a body type, like no, it's not. And I'm just gonna
No,
say something
no.
really quickly. Like, I used to be that person that used to go hard for body positivity and fat
Mm.
acceptance. Like I used to be that person that was like, accept all bodies. Like you can be healthy. But then I think about it, like
I
when
think
I was
there's an
skinny,
unhealthy limit.
there's 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 a point where it's just becoming ridiculous.
Yeah.
It really is, and there's so many health implications that come with carrying excess weight and
Yeah.
excess fat. And of course, things like BMI isn't always an accurate measure. It isn't always an accurate measure.
Yeah,
Just
no.
look in the mirror and you'll see. Do you know what I mean? It's just, oh,
Yeah, and this is
crazy.
when it comes to body positivity, it's so weird because a lot of women get
Go on,
it
you go.
and a lot of men get it as well. And with men, from what I've witnessed, is this kind of dad bod image, and girls are like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I love a dad bod," but then there are also women being like, "Oh no, you're fat, disgusting,
yeah,
repulsive, piece of
yeah.
shit, eat healthy, eat a salad or something like that," and it's just like, fuck off, you know.
Yeah, and I think as well, like the body positivity movement is very hypocritical in so many ways because for one, there'll be women who are like 300, 400 pounds
Hmm.
talking about, oh, I don't want to date a guy who's fat, and it's like, okay, I get it, we all
Yeah.
have preferences, but the way they go about it is rude because I'll tell you this now, it's more acceptable, and I'm saying this as a girl. It's more acceptable to be fat as a girl than it is to be fat as a man. I'll tell you why, because for, no, because no, I'll tell you why, because for girls, we can be like overweight and whatever, and it's easier for us. We have this movement that is for us. How many men do you see in the
Yeah.
body positivity movement? Not
Yeah.
many.
Okay.
And think about it. Society will accept a girl who's 300 pounds and out of shape and doesn't take care of her health, but as soon as there's a man, it's gross. It's unattractive. You
That's
can't
actually
date him.
true. Yeah.
If you
No.
see a guy who's slobby, who's 300 pounds, who doesn't care about himself, no one's giving him attention.
Yeah.
But when
No.
it's a woman who's bigger, it's, oh,
Everyone's
she can just wear
oh
makeup and that's it.
yeah. And it's also a message of where when it is women, it's, oh my god, that's so sad. Oh, she's eating 20
Yeah,
pine
yeah,
chip.
yeah,
Like Ricky Gervais made a joke about the woman who made the woman who ate 20 pine chips a day, you know.
yeah.
And he was talking about, how he had to do these gigs for obesity. and
Yeah.
and how they were trying to say, oh, obesity is an illness, and he was like, it's not though. But just like, oh, it's just you like to eat too much. Like,
You know what? Can I just say something as well? That's another misconception with like big people. People think that big people overeat. You know, a lot of them have very slow metabolisms because they don't eat enough. A lot of them have the same
mm-hmm,
history. I guarantee you,
yeah.
Ethan. You ask an overweight girl who's like, I don't know, in her mid 20s, how many diets she's been on. She's probably going to be like, I've been on every diet in the book. They go through this like cycle, dieting, not dieting, restricting,
and
like
and
just
and
eat,
this
just
is
literally just eat an abundance of healthy food. That's
and
all you
this
need
is
to
the thing
do.
I don't like. It is, people are trying to get other people on diets, and
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, some people it will hugely benefit them. um, but there are other people who just don't, because their body doesn't work like that. And, you know, and when I say the people who will benefit from diets, I mean, like, there are some diets. I mean, Jordan Peterson's got a really weird diet where I can't remember what it is now, but he does something very unique, and it's because of this thing that his daughter's got, which he's also got, which apparently really helps. Yeah, and it's, you know, some people will need to have explicit diets because of health conditions and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, of
Other people
course.
just need to eat a balanced diet. That's it. That's all
And
we
then
need
once
as
you have
ordinary humans, is a balanced diet.
and then there's people that use that excuse of, oh, healthy food is so expensive. Healthy, like, how fruit and vegetables is the cheapest food on the planet you can buy.
Healthy food is
It's
not
so
expensive
cheap.
at all.
It's
Fruit and
really not.
veg is
And
really cheap. I mean, it is more expensive to order from McDonald's all the time. As someone who's done it,
exactly.
as you know, as someone who's eaten McDonald's all week at one point for dinner, it is so much cheaper to buy to go to your Sainsbury's, Morrison's, Tesco, Asda,
Yeah.
whatever, and buy like chicken from the supermarket, and you know it will
Yeah.
last you longer. You know,
Mm.
it also tastes a lot better because you've cooked it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Of course.
and even if it's a cheap meal, like, you know, you've just got like chicken nuggets and chips in the freezer that you just need to literally chuck on a baking tray and heat up in the microwave, heat up in the oven.
Oh gosh.
I mean, don't,
Yeah.
like, seriously, it's, some things are that easy. And it only
Yeah.
takes like half an hour, and then, you know, you've got your food. And
But this is. Can I just say something really
people just want
quickly?
to eat
You know, we have
unhealthy.
yeah, and you know how we were talking about the whole nutrition thing earlier on? Like, I think the reason why a lot of kids as well are becoming very obese is because a lot of them aren't having home cooked food. Like, think about it.
Oh yeah,
Because
no.
of modern day, because of like how things are in modern day, where the mom and the dad is working, you know, there's like a rise of like not many moms want to stay at home. They just want to go and work and whatever. So then the kids come home, there's no food prepared. So what do they go and do? They go to the closest chip shop, and they're gonna go there throughout their school, their secondary school life, because they're coming home and there's no cooked food, there's no healthy options,
But
and that's a
also,
major problem.
shouldn't children be taught how to cook for themselves?
That as well, that
Be-
as well. But
because
but
I
that's what I'm
do
saying.
believe,
If
I do believe that, yes, parents do have a role to play in terms of getting food on the table, preparing the meal, having a family dinner.
yeah,
But there's also a bit of, you need to be prepared for adulthood. And not gonna lie, there is one thing that I definitely should have done more in like last term of
cooking.
uni, because I did this. I cooked loads in the first term. Actually, I cooked quite a fair bit, and then in the second term I gave up a bit, and I was whatever, and now that's hit my bank account. But so, you know, I've got to. I've you've just got to you've just got to, if you don't know how to do something but it's a skill that is going to benefit you, you need to go out your way and learn it. Like, if it's cooking, if it's doing the ironing or whatever, just basic household chores. Because
Yeah,
even for me, I struggle to keep my room neat. Like, it's like, and it's a little bit because it's a bit of a typical teenager's room, but it's also, you know, like, I just am a bit of a messier person. I'm just naturally a bit
yeah,
more chaos, but I need to restore some order and get some stuff going back.
yeah.
Yeah, I need to say, you know, I need to actually keep on top of that. But no, I mean,
Understandable.
but we need to be preparing our young people for the future. We need to be preparing them for these extra steps of living by yourself, paying your
Yeah.
mortgage, paying your rent, getting a job, how to fully use your education to get your job, and also how to fully utilize your university degree as well. Because I mean, I'm doing as someone who's doing a drama and theatre course, you know, I'm learning a lot of skills in terms of ensemble work and theory and stuff like that. But I don't,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is critical thinking, which I quite enjoy. But the critical thinking that they're trying to make me put into my writing is that of Marxist ideology, which I'm just like, hell no. Um, let's get
Yeah.
straight the fuck out of there.
Oh
You know,
God.
you don't, like, we need to actually be prepared to think for ourselves, provide for ourselves, and just promote a better society. And, you know, one that is tolerant of each other's views, one, you know, one that is united, not
Yeah.
divided, you know, and
Yeah.
yeah. I've got one
Yeah.
question left to ask you.
Yeah.
Is there a topic right now that we are not talking about that we should be talking about? And yes, I've stolen this from another Q&A that I saw. So
Fine.
it's
Fine.
an interesting question. I'm quite interested to see what my friends and guests have got to say about, you know, what they think is a pressing issue that needs to be spoken about. So
Hmm. What do I think that needs to be spoken about? Definitely things like, okay, I things like hookup culture and people just going from one person to another. I don't really have a question, but I think it's something that we really need to talk about. And like, you know, people not valuing things like intercourse and etc. Like things like that, I think is very important. I think it's very destructive to like younger people.
well,
I think normalizing sleeping around is very disruptive for male and female because you
I
have to realize that when you get with a person, you're taking on their energy, you're taking on whatever. I don't know. Maybe some people are more spiritual than others, but I do believe that when you're with a person, you're taking on whatever energy they have from other people.
yes,
Like people, they don't value like things like sex. They don't value anything. That people are constantly objectifying themselves and then complain that they're getting objectified. Like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't expect people to do this, but then you're doing this. Like
yeah.
I am I the only one that thinks like this? I just
No, you're not. Um, and I do agree with you. We do need to talk about sleeping around and um, sexual relationships a lot more, and they need to be
yeah.
spoken about properly and in depth. Um, for me, um, I remember when I lost my virginity when I was 16.
Yeah.
I remember that being quite a big deal. Um,
Mm.
you know, it was, you know, this is the first time I'm ever doing this. Is it with someone I
Mm.
like? Is it with someone who I can trust?
Yeah.
You know, is it someone who's potentially going to twist this after we've done it? You know,
Oh yeah.
like,
Oh my gosh.
and as a
Yeah.
guy, that is definitely a big fear. Is this person, you know, going to make up some lies after and say
Yeah.
that this
Of
wasn't
course.
consensual? But I mean, I've gone through phases in terms of my relationships where it's been like I've looked for a relationship and I've been able to find one, but other times, you know, generally when I'm feeling lower about myself, I kind of
Mm.
look to sleep around. It's
Yeah.
it's a trait that for me comes when I don't respect myself.
This is what I'm saying. There's
And
something missing, and that's what I'm saying. Instead of
and
doing that and then rising your body count, I shall say, like try and fill that empty, like try and fill that void without doing that because it's destructive to you, and people don't realize it. They think, oh, virginity, things like virginity doesn't mean anything. Things like sex, it means a lot.
It does
A
mean a
lot.
lot. And
A
and
lot.
and this is the thing. A lot. And the thing is, some people are very comfortable within themselves when they're going through times of when they don't respect themselves to go out and sleep with plenty of women. And if you can sleep at night, fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it's something for me that's really weird because, you know, I don't date people like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I lose respect for myself and turn into someone like that. So it's
Yeah.
it's just like, what's going on here? And you know, it's a little bit of, I'm just like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I just have this craving for this one thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a bit of a problem at times. You know, it's a problem for anyone,
Yeah.
anyone where they're getting like that and, you know, not respecting themselves or respecting other people, or taking advantage of good people who,
Yeah.
you know, and this is the thing. Whenever I've gone on one of my, what shall I call it? Slag spectacles? Yeah. Slag spectacles. You know, when I've gone on one of my slag spectacles, it's been with someone who has also wanted to do that as well, with the same intentions behind it. It's not, you know, someone who genuinely wants a loving relationship, because I wouldn't do that to someone like that. It's
But,
also,
you know, not everyone's like you though. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Not everyone
and the
is.
thing is, people have to mutually respect each other when it comes to sex. Like, they have to,
Yeah.
be like, yes, we both want to do this right now. And if we're not in a relationship, then we both need to understand that these are the terms and conditions that we're doing this by. And if you are in a relationship, then, you know, don't screw your partner over.
Yeah.
Is the message. You know, don't screw other people over. Right? That's the thing. It's just be respectful to other people. Don't, you know, impose things.
I think for me,
For me,
like,
that is what it's like anyway.
I think for me, again, it's something that should be 100% valued because that action brings life into this world. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And of course, there's that side to it. That's a very deep way of thinking about it, but it's the truth. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know, and this, you know, when we were talking about abortion earlier on, and like the different scenarios and situations, I was actually going to say this, that people need to understand that you're taking a risk every time you lie down with a different person
Oh yeah.
and all this stuff. And some STIs and STDs stick with you for life, and we know things like HIV and AIDS, and you know all of these kind of things. Like,
Although
that's
there
with you for
are,
life. You can't get rid of
you can take medication which can stop AIDS from killing you and HIV from
yeah,
killing you.
but what I'm saying is that overall, there's nothing that's going to get rid of it totally. You just get medicated constantly. This is one thing you have to be so careful.
No, yeah, you do have to be incredibly careful. And the thing with STIs is, you know, you've definitely got to wrap it, right? Like,
Yeah.
to all the guys watching my videos, just wrap it before you tap it, lads. Like,
Oh my gosh. Oh.
there are some horrific sights out there. But also, girls, don't go sticking everything in there as well. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, respect yourself, respect the people
Yeah.
you're with, have sex you enjoy, not, you know,
I
sex you'll be like, oh, actually, that was a bit weird after.
yeah.
I mean, if it's
There's
your
one
first
thing.
time and you're going, oh, that was a bit weird, then that's perfectly normal. But if you're like just having sex and you're going, I'm not enjoying this, this is weird,
Yeah.
don't. Don't. Respect yourself.
Account- accountability from both sides. Like, it takes two to tango.
No, yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know, just do better.
Yeah. Um, anyway, that is all for today. Thank you guys for listening. This has been the Ethan Beattie Podcast. And I will see you guys next... I'll see you guys when I see you.